Today we're going to walk through a story that is, frankly, as tragic as it is chilling. It's a case that really strikes at the heart of our most basic sense of safety. The horrific murder of a young woman in Delhi, allegedly by someone her family had once welcomed into their own home. And this is the brutal fact right at the center of it all. The accused wasn't some stranger who broke in. No, he was a former employee who allegedly used the family's own trust against them, with absolutely devastating results. So, let's get into the details. Okay, so this all starts in Kailash Hills, an upscale neighborhood in South Delhi. And it's here, on what seemed like a totally ordinary Wednesday morning, that one family's world was about to turn into an unimaginable nightmare. The victim was just 22 years old, with an incredibly bright future. I mean, she was an IIT graduate and she was in the middle of studying for the super competitive civil service exams. She's hoping to follow in her father's footsteps, who is a senior government official. Her life was just full of so much promise. So, when her parents came back from their morning gym session, they walked into a scene of absolute horror. Their daughter was dead. But here's the thing, there were no signs of a forced entry. So investigators were immediately faced with a huge question. How did the killer get inside a secure home in a gated community? And the answer, it turns out, was terrifyingly simple. The suspect wasn't an outsider at all. He was someone who knew the family, who knew their home, and who knew their routines inside and out. Police pretty quickly zeroed in on 19-year-old Rahul Meena. See, he had worked as the family's domestic help for about 8 months before they fired him, just a month earlier, for some alleged financial issues. But, and this is the critical part, he still had a spare key.
Now, in court, his own words were, well, they were stark. He reportedly said, "I committed a crime, a mistake." A seemingly clear admission of guilt, right? But this is where the story gets even more complex.
Because there's a huge contrast here. While he's calling it a mistake in the courtroom, the police who actually interrogated him described a young man who was cold, who kept changing his story, and who, they say, showed absolutely no remorse. To really understand why the police had that assessment, we have to look at the hours leading up to the murder. Because this apparently wasn't an isolated incident. No, it was allegedly the horrifying end of a terrifying crime spree. According to police, the violence actually started the night before. On Tuesday, Meena was in Alwar, Rajasthan, where he allegedly raped another woman. The very next morning, he travels all the way to Delhi. By 6:49 a.m., he's using his key to let himself into the family's home, knowing full well the parents were out. Just 31 minutes later, at 7:20 a.m., he flees the scene.
30 minutes. Just think about that. That's the approximate window of time in which he allegedly assaulted, murdered, and robbed his victim before taking off. It's a terrifyingly short and incredibly brutal span of time.
So, with the suspect in custody, the focus totally shifted. Now, it was all about building an airtight case. Investigators got to work, using forensic evidence to piece together exactly what happened in those 30 minutes.
The post-mortem report, it paints a very grim picture of a violent struggle. The official cause of death was strangulation, but the report also documented multiple other injuries. Bruises, abrasions, a broken nose, all signs that the victim fought desperately for her life. The evidence just points to an absolutely brutal attack.
And the object used to end this young woman's life was just horrifically mundane. A simple mobile phone charging cable. A common household item turned into a deadly weapon. So the police have a really clear investigative plan. They're going to recreate the suspect's entire journey, starting from Alwar. They're going to investigate that first alleged crime, recover the stolen items, and use DNA profiling to build an undeniable forensic link. They are building this case piece by painstaking piece. As we've touched on, the horror that unfolded in Delhi, well, that wasn't the beginning of the story. To really grasp the full picture, you have to look at these two alleged crimes back to back. When you see it like this, side by side, it's just stark. In less than 12 hours, the suspect allegedly attacked 2 different women in 2 different cities. The first, a friend's wife. The second, his former employer's daughter. It just depicts an alleged spree of violence that is as shocking as it is deeply disturbing. You know, a case like this really forces us to confront a very uncomfortable truth. We build gates, we hire security, all for protection. But this crime shows that sometimes the most devastating threats can come from within our own circle of trust, completely bypassing every external defense we think we have. And so we're left with this final, really haunting question. This case is about so much more than just one horrific crime. It's about a violation of trust so profound that it makes us question our own safety. When the threat comes from someone you once welcomed into your home, how can any door ever be truly locked?